How y'all doing? Okay, so WrestleMania 36 day one is over, and let's not waste any time getting into it. Most of the show sounded like a couple of guys playing hoops in the YMCA. What you could hear shoes squeaking in the empty ass arena. So, but it was a great show. For me, only two matches really missed. Two, maybe three matches was a miss. Um, I was what I liked about the show. I really liked what I didn't like about the show. I really didn't expect to like in the first place. So let's not bury the lead. The fucking boneyard match, AJ Styles versus the Undertaker, and this cinematic masterpiece that I just could not stop smiling all the way through. It was amazing. It was one of the best things WWE has produced in years, and it actually is the kind of stuff that they used to do, and for some reason they stopped doing, and now people think Matt Hardy created it. Not really. Matt Hardy kind of brought back, the what the cinematic pro wrestling pre-taped cinematic pro wrestling match, but it's not even that Matt Hardy did it. It was kind of like T-Pain taking credit for Zap. Like if you are familiar with funk music, and you know who Roger Troutman is, and he was doing the vocoder or the voice box before T-Pain, and then T-Pain came out years later and brought it back, and now everybody's doing it. It's kind of the same thing. Undertaker and they used to do these cinematic pro wrestling matches where it was they used to do like the bunkhouse brawl or something like that, where it'd be like a match on like a moving car, or like a Big Show and Hulk Hogan had a match on top of a goddamn building. You know, the Boiler Room Brawl, Undertaker and Mankind, SummerSlam '96. You also had the Hollywood Backlot Brawl, which is Roddy Piper and Goldust, where they filmed a lot of the match in certain parts, and then it segued into a live match. At WrestleMania 12. So this sort of storytelling is not really new. Matt Hardy didn't really create it, and plus Lucha Underground used to do the same thing. So this sort of storytelling is not new. But regardless, it was still fantastic. It was still fun. I liked that the OC showed up. I liked how they introduced everybody. AJ Styles comes in on the casket. Undertaker comes in the hearse or whatever. Undertaker comes in on the bike. I like the shit talking. Like they made the silence work all night. They added the silence to the story. We're gonna get to some of that in some of the later matches. But Undertaker and AJ Styles not having a crowd or anything like that to make noise. You could actually hear them, talking. They was talking, and Undertaker was shit talking them. Some of my favorite lines were the first line AJ Styles has when he sees Undertaker is, "Does Michelle know you're out this late?" it was great. And then Undertaker was like a cool western where he was kind of like two guys showed up at high noon to fight, and that's what they did, and it was absolutely fun. Everybody who is listening to the sound of my voice probably is going to watch this match. I'm not going to do a blow by blow. There is no point, and I'm just going to gush over how beautiful it was, and it was the best match Undertaker has had in years, and it wasn't really even a match. And AJ Styles is fantastic. You got to give the guy credit. When I was watching him in TNA, I never thought he would do something like this, and I'm really proud to be able to say I watched both of them. I remember me, Mark Callis in WCW, and I remember the young fresh face AJ Styles in TNA, and I didn't see him in WCW, so I seen him mostly in TNA. But I'm really glad to see this happen. I'm kind of disappointed we didn't get more like Kane and stuff like involved, but it was still very fun, and I enjoyed it. I loved it. Everybody needs to see it. Even if you don't like the supernatural stuff in wrestling, you need to see this because it's for nothing else. It is cinematically beautiful, and if you don't like fire and people being able to control fire and stuff like that, which I'm not. I mean, it's cool if you're gonna, but my thing is with the supernatural stuff, if you're gonna do it, go full born with it and don't back down from it and don't apologize for it. And WWE does not apologize for doing supernatural stuff. So kudos to them for doing that. Okay, so so the match before, let's just go in descending order. So the Boneyard match was the main event. Braun Strowman wins the Universal Championship from Bill Goldberg. No surprise there. The match went exactly how I would think it would go. Bryan gets speared 4 times, and Strowman slams, power slams Goldberg 4 times, and Braun Strowman picks up the title. I mean, it is what it is. It is what it needed to be. The title had to come off of Goldberg, so I'm 100% fine with it. Strowman looked like a beast, and which he should have, and maybe he'll actually get a decent run with it. Seth Rollins and Kevin Owens, which is universally considered the best one-on-one match to take place on the card. I love this match too. Seth Rollins does this really bizarre retching, like whenever, like, he did it with the Fiend, and now he's doing it in this match. And this match made more sense because there's no crowd. The heels and babyfaces have to talk. So now they're talking to each other, they're shit talking each other, and Rollins was dominating most of this match, and he's kicking Kevin Owens around, and he's telling him give up, and he even got disqualified, obviously. But the match ended up being no disqualifications, and Kevin Owens leaps off the top of the WrestleMania sign. The only thing I didn't like is that Kevin Owens was like, how about this for a WrestleMania moment? You don't have to. He didn't need to say that. That was a little bit much. He could have just did it. But it made sense to the story because earlier in the match, before Seth Rollins got disqualified, Kevin Owens was working the gut. He was working Seth Rollins' stomach, and it made sense because that ended up leading to Kevin Owens jumping off the top of the logo, which of course still hit Kevin Owens in the gut. I mean, not Kevin Owens, but AJ Styles. Even AJ Styles. Yeah, I'm all over the place. Seth Rollins in the gut, and that led to the finish. But AJ Styles did this, and Seth Rollins also did this, where they were begging. They were like, "Come on, man, I quit. That's enough, man. I'm sorry. I apologize. I didn't." And that's so classic heel. That's so much classic heel stuff, and it's so fun that guys are not willing to show are willing to show weakness and be dastardly assholes and then get their comeuppance. And I'm glad that the baby faces were strong enough to be able to be able to smite the heel in a way where even though the guy's kind of begging and pleading, it still made sense for you to finish this guy off because he's a complete and total asshole. And AJ Styles was that, and Seth Rollins is that. I didn't give grades for any of these matches, but this is a straight up 4-star match for me. I love this match. It has stellar storytelling. You need to probably watch this match too. The ROH guys, the PWG guys, all of those guys, they really shined in this show. But Rollins and Owens and Bryan and Zayn and Cesaro in the pre-show match, all of these guys really did well, and they really got to show off. And this is kind of what the risk that when you go and you perform in front of no audience, you really have a chance to show off. And these guys really, really did their thing, and I applaud them. This was fantastic. The triple threat ladder match. So I guess the Miz was sick or something like that. So they took one man off each team. So it ended up being Kofi Kingston, John Morrison, and Jimmy Uso for the SmackDown Tag Team titles. And up to this point, this was the match of the night. Okay, up to this point, this was my favorite match of the night. These fucking guys went hard. And I love this match. This was fantastic. There was so much stuff. Specifically with Jomo, John Morrison. You used to call him Jomo back in the 2011, 2012 days. I'm going to go back to calling him that. But Jomo, he did a lot of really cool stuff. And for starters, Kofi Kingston's hair was pink, which threw me off. I was like, ugh. It was like pink and green. I'm like, ugh. But there was so much cool stuff. The leaping hurricanrana from the top rope. Kofi Kingston on John Morrison. When he did a hurricanrana off the ladder. And I was just like, wow. John Morrison walking the top rope into the Spanish Fly. It was a stellar match. Anybody. I mean, you can hate how we got here, as far as WWE not telling everybody the Miz was not going to be in the match until after SmackDown. Which I guess if you taped SmackDown, then whatever. But it was a stellar contest. You really need to see this match too. It was really fun. The last, well, three of the last four matches was really good. That was really good stuff. Daniel Bryan versus Sami Zayn for the Intercontinental Championship. It was okay. It was good. Um, I enjoyed this. I didn't think it was the match of the night. Obviously, it's like the fourth best match, which is really strange because these two guys are fantastic. But it told a fantastic story. This was one of the better storytelling matches, even though it wasn't a lot of action. Because for the first 2 or 3 minutes of this match was Sami Zayn running away, and even in that case, you're still telling the story of people aren't really beating up Sami Zayn, and it's kind of been going on for a while that Sami talks a lot, but he doesn't really get beaten up that much. And that was the first arc of the story: is Sami Zayn running around, stalling, hanging out outside the ring. And then the second arc is when Daniel Bryan finally gets his hands on him, and he's just killing Sami Zayn. He's just beating the shit out of him. And it's almost, and Sami Zayn's like crying and he's whining and he's still trying to get away. And it was great. And then the finish, of course, with the haluva kick after Daniel Bryan jumps off the top rope. That was excellent. It was a really great match. I give it, 3.5, 3.75 stars. It was a really good match. I know they could, if there was a crowd, it probably would have been a lot better. But, this was fantastic for what it was. I love this. So now we get into kind of the things that were not so good. Shayna Baszler loses to Becky Lynch, and I really want to know why. It was written off like a fluke with Becky Lynch kind of reversing a sleeper hold, which is the old Bret Hart Roddy Piper finish. But I don't understand why she won. Like, what was the purpose of showing me Shayna Baszler as an absolute killer and a man eater and all this type of stuff, and she gets beaten with a roll up? Now I understand, like, if she would have gotten beaten with a straight up finish, it would have been even worse. But to have her even go through the whole dominant performance of the Elimination Chamber and then lose, it makes absolutely no sense. And yeah, that's going to look. I know a lot of people didn't like Shayna Baszler or don't like Shayna Baszler, but you can't say that was smart. Like, I'm sorry, you can be a hardcore Becky Lynch fan, but if you don't think that she's not stale after a full year as a champion, then you're not being objective. This has been a terrible, terrible, terrible title run. It has not been good. It didn't really get good until Sasha Banks showed up. And, from Sasha, she had Asuka, and from Asuka, she had Shayna Baszler. So now look, I'm okay with her beating Sasha Banks, even though I don't think she should have beat Sasha Banks. I could get over her beating Asuka, even though I don't think she should have beaten Asuka yet. But her beating Shayna Baszler, this is like John Cena level stuff. But, we're going to get some people who are going to think that this is cool. But this match wasn't really all that good anyway. It was hard hitting. I liked the fact that Shayna Baszler was not letting up. She was hitting kind of heavy. It was aggressive. But I gave it like 2.75 stars. I really didn't. I'm not really a fan of. I'm more of a fan of Shayna Baszler than I was about to call it Beth Phoenix. Becky Lynch. But if this match was good, I would have given credit for being good. But it was just okay. It was kind of there. Becky Lynch needs an audience because, to me, whatever. She doesn't really elevate people as far as I'm concerned. I think I said that in my 4 Horsewomen video. If you didn't see that, you should go back and listen to it. Becky Lynch does not do a good job of elevating her opponents. The worst match on the card was the match that everybody expected to be the worst match on the card, which was Elias and Baron Corbin, which was too long. And it still has some decent action in it. But I don't think we needed this match. We didn't really need it. You could have cut out I don't know how long this match was, but you could have cut it out and did some more stuff. You could have did some more 24/7 title stuff, which is what they did. They did some 24/7 stuff with R-Truth a little bit later in the show, where he got beat by Mojo Rawley for the title. But I thought that might have been an interesting thing to do to weave into the show. I'm glad that. Let's continue going down the card. So King Corbin loses to Elias. He lost by a roll up. It was decent for the guys that were involved. I'm not really a fan of either guy. I'm more of a fan of Baron Corbin and Elias, but Uh, I like the Elias character. I just don't think Elias is a great worker. And I think that WrestleMania is the showcase of the Immortals. So maybe we should have had him do a little bit something different. You know, maybe replace Elias with somebody else. And then, but the match itself would have been fine if it was shorter. The opening contest was Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross versus the Kabuki Warriors. A lot of people noted, and I did as well, that Kairi Sane did not look to be too invested into this match. A lot of people think that she's halfway out of the company already, because she did just get married, so maybe so, you know. But they just came in to lose the titles essentially. So Kabuki Warriors lost the tag team titles to Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross. It was a decent match. It wasn't terrible. Just like all the other heels throughout the night, the Kabuki Warriors kind of set the standard for making a lot of noise because they were very, very noisy. A lot of the Japanese yelling and doing all their comedic spots, but they certainly could have done better. You know, I think that Nikki Cross is perpetually fired up, and that's the one thing I really like about the Nikki Cross to me is she's so energetic that she's almost lovable in that way. She's like a ball of energy. And that's really kind of what gets her over. Because she was kind of like that when she was Insanity as well. But they kind of played it off like she was crazy. But now Nikki is just kind of seen like as like the spaz. You know, she's like the spazzy best friend of Alexa Bliss. But of course Alexa Bliss gets the pinfall because why wouldn't she? But the Kabuki Warriors didn't need the titles anyway. I mean, they really didn't. And now that I think that Kairi Sane is probably on her way out and Asuka's probably going to, I don't know. Considering that Becky Lynch won, I don't know what you do with Asuka now. I just don't have any idea. Maybe she beats up Kairi Sane or something, and her and Kairi Sane feud. I don't know. But and the pre-show match was Drew Gulak versus Cesaro, which was decent. It was a good match. They could have had better, obviously, but it was a good match, good starter, good appetizer match. And Cesaro used the UFO, which I don't think he's ever done it in WWE up to this point. So that was dope. You know, I thought this was the one match where Cesaro didn't do a lot of talking. He was the one heel of the program that didn't do a lot of talking and, you know, kind of accentuating the match and using the empty arena to his advantage. But I enjoyed the acapella WrestleMania, you know. You know, it was like you know, one of the MTV Unplugged joints where, you know, it's just the bare bones. And I really enjoyed also the America the Beautiful opening, which showed a pastiche of all the different people singing America the Beautiful, like Aretha Franklin and Gladys Knight and Ray Charles and all of them. And it was amazing how many black people sang America the Beautiful for WrestleMania, and I really enjoyed it, and I think that was nice. I also loved that JBL did commentary for the first couple of matches. I thought that was pretty good too. Gronkowski was annoying as fuck, but there was very little of him on the show, so that was fine. All in all, I had fun watching the show. Yes, we could have done like the first hour or so was kind of because you had the first hour consisted of Bliss and Cross and Kabuki Warriors and King Corbin and Elias and Becky Lynch and Shayna Baszler, but it really picked up when Daniel Bryan and Sami Zayn came out, because now we started having guys in pick'em matches that really were, you know, it could have gone either way. So, you know, I enjoyed it. What did you think? Let me know in the comment section. And the first day of WrestleMania 36 was actually my birthday. So if you care to wish me happy birthday, kind of do it in the comment section of the video. Thank you guys for listening, and I'll talk to you guys later. Peace. Enjoy WrestleMania day number 2.